What I'm sharing with you here today, that word is not a religious term. Okay? A religion has utilised that term for its own purposes, but the information and knowledge I'm sharing with you here today sits outside all sciences, all religions, all politics. This is what lies, this is the truth that lies behind all of it. Okay? The word Christ means the golden light. It means Christos in ancient Greek words. It means the energy, the frequency, which is the frequency of balance between the two. The reason they called people like myself in ancient times Akhenaten, or Jesus, or Buddhi, or Muhammad, or Abraham, any of the enlightened beings were called such because we had the golden halo around us. It was glowing. And the people could see that visually with their own eyes because the planet was in a different frequency back then, and they were able to see these things. And therefore, they called these people the golden ones, or the anointed ones. That's what it represents. And that's where the word Christ comes from, Christos. So, it's a bit sad when there's other modes or religions out there that are attacking that word specifically because their own prophets resonate at that frequency, that light spectrum as well, and that needs to be understood, that does not belong to any particular being. You know, the one we know as Jesus, whose real name is Lord Sananda out in the cosmos, that's a higher aspect of his being, is one, just but one being of the Christed energy. Just one. There's many. And all of us people here, our journey here to go into what we call the golden age is to become one of those beings and to operate under that auspice, under that energy. That's what this is all about. And because the golden light is outside of polarity, it's a balanced state of being. The beings in the Christed energy really understand how to utilise the two powers, the two energies, what we refer to as the dark and the light, to achieve what one needs to achieve in a very balanced and respectful manner to all life. So it's just another word, so we can write that there for the golden light. Okay? Now this universe that I've drawn here is basically what we call God. That's what the religions refer to as a supreme being. Everything that exists has a certain level of consciousness. Right down to this texter has a certain level of consciousness, otherwise it would not exist. There needs to be intent to come in to arrange all what we refer to, I'll get into later, the Platonic solids in the correct manner for this to exist and hold the form. A tree, for example, birds, animals, they all have consciousness. It's all different levels of consciousness. They are all living creatures. This planet is a living being. Therefore our universe is a living being. And that's what we refer to as God, the Supreme Being. And we are all inside of that and all part of that. Let's say you go to the 12th dimension, for example. The Council of Nine in the 12th dimension are 9 beings which are an extension. You get the main body of Christ, and it's broken itself up into 9 different components. And it's like us as beings have different egos, for example. We have different egos that make up the whole of the expression of the being. So does God. God has broken itself up into different components, and each being from 1 to 9 performs a different function or represents a different function. One might carry wisdom, and the other one might be the expression of learning how to function with authority, and the other one might be the teaching of the sciences. And it's all broken up, and each one has its own responsibility. And this council of 9 exists on every dimensional spectrum, each one. The Council of 9 sits there, and it's flanked either side by 2 other councils, which I will get to in just a moment. And so, for example, here you've got 9 beings. Here you've got another 9 beings. While these ones are here down in this dimensional level, these ones still exist, but these are a lower aspect. This picture here probably describes it pretty well. This is the picture of the I Am presence and brought to us by Saint Germain. And then you have the higher part of your aspect of your being, your God presence. And then you have an intermediate part of your being, and then you have a lower part of your being. It's all one being at the end of the day, but we have different components, and you have the same setup as well individually. Okay? So when I speak of the council existing in every frequency spectrum, yes, they're all one, but they're different components, that's all. It's just broken down. So you've got each being is specialising in each different frequency spectrum, because if you're only one entity, then you can't be here and there at the same time. You've got to break yourself up into 2 or 3 or 4 so you can occupy those different frequencies at the same time and function properly and effectively. Okay? Over here we have, on this, what we used to call in the dark, there was a being that's incorporated this side of polarity called Lucifer. And that's just the Western expression of that name. All cultures, other cultures use different names, so it's not about a religious thing here. I'm just using terms that we are all familiar with. Lucifer is also known as the Great Dark Brotherhood. And is also known as the Council of Seven. I'll put a number there this time. All these names refer to the being you know as Lucifer. So whilst we have in every frequency spectrum the Council of Nine pretty much governing, it's flanked either side by 2 councils. On one side is the Council of Seven, and on this side of the ledger we have the being you know as Michael, or Archangel Michael, which is also known as the Great White Brotherhood. And also known as the Council of 12. Okay? So in every frequency you have the Council of 9 flanked either side by the Council of 7 and the Council of 12. It's not like here in this reality that we're in on planet Earth we have a set structure and then everything out there is all wishy-washy. It's not the case. It's not like that. There is organisation on every frequency spectrum throughout our creation here, throughout the universe. It needs to be that way. If you look out at Mother Nature, for example, and you think, my goodness, that's really quite chaotic, or the way a river runs down a stream, and it's called the chaos theory, the way the water just swirls everywhere, and you think there's no organisational to it. Well, no, in fact, on a higher level of understanding, that's perfectly organised. And every swirl goes in a certain way because it's supposed to, and every animal behaves in a certain way because that's the way it's been organised for it to do so. And that's fact. There's organisational structure on every level of existence and every frequency spectrum. And these are the beings and the organisers to run that. What you have here is, on 2 sides of polarity, they're both white light. What you call here the dark side doesn't mean blackness. Okay? Lucifer, the name in itself, means the enlightened one. Okay? The illuminated one. Okay? What that represents is the energy of the light of knowledge. That is the expression of the white light of knowledge. There are 2 different kinds of white light that we're talking about here. Alright? And this is a very, very critical understanding. The reason it's white light is because it's the entire spectrum. It contains all the information in there. All the colours together make up the white light. Alright? And for the beings that work with black light, they call it, they say, well, that contains all the